Turn yourself to me, stitch up my emptiness, 'cause you're the death of me. Hey, Dev.
Andrew,
So I gave you some homework, didn't I?
you did.
So I'm wondering, what are our individual top 10 greatest songs of all time?
Oh, man. Okay, your intro there, just like all of the memories just hit.
But like, kind of country?
Oh, yeah, you gave me some homework and oh boy, was it ever work for me.
Yeah, I heard you had a little birdie told me you had a hard time.
Yeah, yeah. It was very hard to narrow the list and like I've had a week to get this list together and I am still certain that there are things missing, and if I was given more time, I'd probably come up with a slightly different list. I think there's definitely several songs on here that would have always been there, but, yeah, this was rough.
Yeah, well, I guess the story was I forget what we were talking about, but then all of a sudden I was like, "Hey, wouldn't it be super cool if we just, like, did, our top." I think originally it was like a combined top 20 greatest songs of all time or something,
Yeah,
and then it kinda migrated into, like, "Hey, how about next week we talk about our own personal top 10 greatest songs of all time."
I remember what sparked the conversation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you made a dumb joke at work.
Oh, yes. Well, I guess for context, I guess I have to tell the joke here.
Yep.
Wait, was it in the previous recording?
No, we
You
didn't
didn't record.
record it, but I wasn't sure if it was on your list, that's why I didn't wanna say anything.
Um, so what what happened was somebody in the group chat of my work asked a simple question, and they were like, "Does anybody know what's up with XXXX Wilson? Um, I haven't been able to get in touch with them." And then my reply was, "Oh, actually, I heard that they drove downtown in the rain, 9:30 on a Tuesday night just to check out the late night record shop." Late night record shop. Uh, and then somebody else, like 20 minutes later, replied to that message in the group chat going, "It's the wrong Wilson."
Lying in bed, just like Bryan Wilson did. Well, I'm
Yeah.
lying in bed.
Uh, that definitely an all-around honorable mention. And there's, of course, the our Beauty and the Beast podcast favorite song, "Call Me Maybe."
Yeah, absolute bop.
Super bop, underrated.
Way
Uh,
underrated.
um, so I guess with that, what we'll do is we're gonna trade off. We'll talk about our tens and then our nines and so forth, and we'll just go back and forth and kind of just discuss the songs, why they might be there, why they have significance. Just for an additional kind of forewarning, these are our personal top 10 greatest songs of all time. It would be a very different list if we were talking the greatest songs of all time.
Oh, completely. Um,
Um, so let's start with your 10.
alright, so mine is my order's been jumping around a lot,
Mhm.
so bear that in mind, but I am going to start with Voices from Macross Plus,
Uh,
both the Japanese and the English version.
and I've noticed with a lot of the gr great anime songs, um, you find enjoyment in both the versions.
Yeah.
A good example would be like, was it I keep wanting to say calling it Millennium Parade.
Millennium Parade was the band, it's, You.
Yes.
Yeah,
You by Millennium Parade from, Bell, which is a bop
top tier.
in both, yeah, top tier in English and, Japanese, and I definitely feel it with this one. So what about it kind of like secures it on the list for you?
There's a lot of things with it. There's this beautiful wistfulness to both
Mhm.
versions of the song. There's just this bittersweet sound throughout that I think captures the overall um, feel of the anime.
Mm.
Uh, and so it's just made it always a go-to. I was torn between this and Information High,
Mm.
which again, classic bop, but I went with voices over that um, because of that extra story. I think Information High is very much expanded from the action scene that's happening around the song being played. Whereas Voices is just a song that I can put on and I could probably put it on repeat and just get lost in the lyrics and the imagery of the song.
Mm. Very beautifully said. And I definitely feel that myself. Had I remembered that song, it would definitely I could definitely find a place for it in like my top 50, maybe top 30.
Mm,
It's a great one.
yeah.
Uh, from my number 10, it is a song that I cherish. It's a song from the band Deftones. And this one's probably an oddball because you're probably thinking I'm gonna say Passenger, but
It's
it's
a good
not
song.
Passenger.
Yeah, I know
Passenger
you
is a
better than
great song.
that.
It's and the Mike Shinoda remix on the Black Stallion,
Oh,
remix album is so good too. It's, like,
so good.
almost as good as the original.
Yeah.
So for my number 10, I've chosen "Around the Fur" by the Deftones.
Mm,
Funny
mhm,
story about this, and it's a humorous thing, it didn't secure its place, on the list, but it was a funny thing. There was a "Around the Fur" Rurouni Kenshin anime music video that was released,
mm,
like, way, way, way back where it's, the Kenshin, when he first gets witnessed going, like, Batosai mode in his, like, serene life, and he's
yeah.
fighting the police officer in the, dojo,
Mm,
and the song was to that scene. Great AMV, but, um, I was tasked in I think it was, like, information studies to edit a video, and all I did was cut off the, like, front credits and just submitted that.
oh, not gonna lie, little disappointed.
Anyways.
Not gonna lie, I think about a dozen of the songs that I had on my maybe list, and I don't think yeah, none of them actually made the cut, but they also came from, like, AMVs
Mhm.
circa early mid 2000.
I just well, we're very impressionable then, and my entire list is gonna kinda be, the story of, my life from 16 till now. Well, sort of. I've mentioned this before, but I've spent the last 10 years listening to just trash pop, and I'm loving
Yeah.
it. Um, so the reason why I like this song, aside from the fact that in my head, it's easy to choreograph, like, fight scenes or action scenes when I'm kinda daydreaming to this song, but there's something about it that just resonates with me, and it never
Mm,
stopped. From the moment I heard it till now, it has a different impact, but, like, it rings within me the same, and I couldn't not have it on this list.
yeah. No, that is fair.
For
Uh,
your for your 9, what did you have?
Alright, so for my 9, I am going to go with a classic, Paradise by the Dashboard Lights.
Hmm, I don't even know if I've heard this song, tell me about it.
You have 100% heard Paradise by the Dashboard Lights. The guy who actually got to see Meatloaf and doesn't really care about Meatloaf as much.
I had box seats.
You're not making it better.
Lighters were out, and I went to the bathroom. I'm joking about that one. It was just anyways, go on, sorry.
Oh, so Paradise by the Dashboard Lights. I picked this for a few reasons. One, I really do feel it is the best showcase of meatloaf.
Mhm.
It's got a bit of the, the power from, things like Bat Outta Hell and some of the softer stuff, as well. I think the showmanship in the video is absolutely amazing. The person that he had working with him, just nailed it, and you can really see the showmanship there. Uh, but I think a big part of it is it's like it is rare to get like a 12-minute song and you go, I could listen to more of this.
Even when you're, like, listening to Zeppelin sometimes, it's just like, "I get it."
Yeah.
Like, "Next song, please."
Yeah. But it's dynamic, an amazing rock ballad.
Mm.
Very much like in my mind, the quintessential rock opera. And then there's kind of the personal bit that really cements this one here for me. First person I met when I moved to Edmonton, this would have been, oh God, 25 years ago. um, she and I would do karaoke all the time.
Mm.
We were both in choirs, so we both sang a lot. We were both in bands, playing instrument, very musical. And we would go to karaoke, and it was always funny because karaoke hosts, little known fact, hate the meat. They will either love or hate the meatloaf.
Mhm.
They generally like it because they can go out for a break,
Mhm.
but they also hate it because so many people do it badly.
Yeah, I could see that being a problem.
Yeah, so we were and she told us this many times, we were literally the only people she would let sing it. So that always brings back, those memories, to me, and, it just ties into other karaoke songs, other ones that were on my maybe list that I couldn't add, a lot just kind of, bringing me back to memories of her. She was a good friend and unfortunately lost contact with, and,
Mhm.
uh,
Always unfortunate, but, like, the way that it informed your development, like, there's
y
something everlasting there, and
yeah,
for it to be positive is always good.
yeah. Of all of the people that I've lost contact with and haven't rekindled with, she's probably the one person that's
Mhm.
in the back of my mind is like, I need to almost makes me wanna sign up for Facebook again.
Okay, especially when you and I have a, certain "I voted for Kodo" song that, we direct towards a lot of the people we've lost contact with.
Yeah. Um,
Well, for my number 9, I know you've listened to it because I played it for you, but you might not be able to place it. It's actually Apple Blim and Paverilist Circling. It's from a album called Soundboy's Gravestone Gets Desecrated by Vandals by Skull Disco. Um,
you very well may have played this for me. I can tell you I do not remember any of this, but I'm guessing it's 2000s emo-ish by that title.
well, it's
Or
this
EDM.
yeah, the title's just Circling. The
Mm,
album yeah, I guess the, album title. Yes, it is actually EDM, which say 10, 15 years ago would have been surprising for me, right?
yeah.
But the reason why I chose this song, though from a technical standpoint and an emotional standpoint, there's definitely songs that could have replaced it.
Mm,
This song is the one that truly allowed me to understand and start enjoying electronic music.
okay.
It has a droning aspect to it. It's like chill wubs from dubstep, but it's not like you're having a seizure.
Mm,
It's just something in the background. The way what I wrote down here is, hypnotizing, like, as if I was a Devon listening to Lunatic Calm's "Yesterday" on a Greyhound bus.
oh, man. So great. And then we hit a deer. Oh, that pulled me out of that trance real quick.
It's so good, I recommend it to anyone, it's very chill, it's very in the background, and it's not aggressive,
Okay.
and what spawned from that, me being able to enjoy electronic music also allowed me to finally start looking into a genre I've never been able to acquire a taste for before.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you and me both, we'll listen to anything.
Yeah.
'Cause we have our preferences, like, you like J-rock,
Mm.
quite a bit. I like hip hop quite a bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes you find me some K-pop. That works for both of us. And it's interesting with the EDM because, like, as you said, ages ago, I couldn't picture you listening to it.
mhm,
It's something that, well, I can't say I would really go out of my way to listen to. I'm starting to see the appreciation in it, and knowing you again, coming from the emo and new metal
mhm,
sounds way back when, very much where I came from as well. And one of my friends comes from that same type of musical background, and she moved into the EDM, and has been trying to get me to go to a rave for years, and finally decided to go. And I can see the transition isn't as hard as I thought it would be,
it's just
because there's that bass line is just still there. So while I
it
don't understand how the top is flowing yet,
it's kinda like a a rave is kinda like if you were in a mosh pit, but it was Batman and Robin.
yes. That is fairly accurate actually from when I went. Uh, and I mean that's it. The thing is I like that heavy bass,
Mm.
and just feeling it thumping
Oh,
thumping in your chest. It's
there's something about it, like, the bass resonating through your chest. So when I was in Tasmania, I was at a Good Spirit festival, and the grounds that we were on was a natural amphitheater,
yeah.
and I was quite tired, and for some reason, they allowed me to do this, but my travel van was, parked at, like, the apex of this natural amphitheater. And I'm like, "I'm
Mm.
going to bed," so I'm laying in my travel van, and all of a sudden, somebody starts playing a didgeridoo, and that vibrated my body so much, it vibrated my soul.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I think,
and I was sober too.
I think it's one of the favorite lines from Hailstorms. I like it heavy. It's like, if I can't feel it in my chest, I'm in the wrong damn place. Like, you need that, like that. There's just something visceral about that thump.
Tell me about your 8.
My 8, I'm going to go with Hook by Blues Traveler.
A song I've heard of before.
I don't know. Like, I honestly haven't listened to much Blues Traveler, but there is just something so amazing about, you know, something very punk about being given these rules, knowing the rules of how music and such is moving forward and what's getting played on the airwaves, and going, yeah, screw you. You're not listening to the song anyway, bitches. Which is the entirety of that song. So it's one of those ones that I can always just go back to and get a little bit of a smile. And I think there's some things that are very, like, even for a song that's pushing 30 years old, it there's a lot in there that hasn't changed, and still things that I know we've talked about on our podcasts in the past.
Well, what I
Uh,
what I like about Hook is this introspective cynicism
mhm.
about the song, like, this is definitely well put. It is the epitome of punk rock to do something along these lines.
Yeah. It captures everything. Like, I've always been someone who tries to read the lyrics.
Mm.
Um, like, way back, you know, before, decent internets, back in my days. um,
We had to pull the slip out of the CD case and unfold it.
well, yeah, no, that's if you had the CD case.
Mm.
And I was pulling out that floppy disk and making sure no one was on the phone so you could try to web crawl or something. I was about to say Google. I'm like, nope, that wasn't right. Alta Vista something. That was it.
Rip, rip. Ask Jeeves.
And because it captures everything about it, and I see it in the TikToks and everything as well. It's like no one is paying attention to the lyrics.
Mhm.
Most people don't. All they remember is the chorus. You can literally say whatever you want elsewhere in the song, and most people will never catch on.
Well, it's just
Um,
like the song "You Are My Sunshine."
yeah,
Everybody thinks it's such a happy song, but it is actually quite sad because the person is begging for his love not to leave him.
yeah. I actually had this conversation with some friends of mine the other day where it was we were listening to I guess it's some more like blues, grassy, folky music, and there was a version of "You Are My Sunshine," and they're like, "Oh, I don't really like how they put this in a minor key." And I'm like, "No, it was always in a minor key. It's just
Yeah.
down an octave and half the tempo right now, so you notice it."
It's
Um, I think a good example of that would be "Pumped Up Kicks" or "Hey Ya" are
mm,
2 really good
hey,
examples.
yeah,
Yeah.
hey, yeah.
Hey Ya. Because again, that's actually a perfect example. Most people don't realize how depressing "Hey Ya" is,
Mhm.
because that one is done in a major key and very upbeat on purpose until you get Obadiah Parker's version, which was, made popular by Scrubs, and he changes the key and gives it and slows it down to give it that reverence from the meaning from the lyrics there, and you
Mhm.
can't ignore it. So, always listen to lyrics. And if you don't, you will get slapped around much like Blues Traveler does with Hook and tells MTV to go screw themselves.
Well, my number 8 is something far less cynical. Far less cynical. Um, for my number 8, I've actually chosen the song "Shining On" from Big D and the Kids Table.
Ooh,
Um,
I may have heard the song.
yes, many times. And though I'm not the most keen with the direction of, where Big D has gone, with their music, because 'cause they're going more like big bandy, kinda swing, kinda like 50s kinda thing going on, and I'm like, I fell into it for the ska, and I'm not on for the journey." Um, but honestly, the reason why this song is important to me is it's capable of making me feel much better in almost any circumstance.
Mm,
So when things are essentially, it tells me that when things are going badly, there's always a brighter day ahead.
I can see that. The video is fun to watch as well.
Right.
Uh,
Had that had since I real small.
um, that's a good one. So this is an example of where we've got a lot of music in common. I think I might have one song that will be on both of our lists.
If you steal my joke.
Actually, we might have. There's a possibility of 3, but 1 for sure. I think will be the same on both of our lists. Um, though the artist version will be different, possibly. Anyway, so Shine On, it's not like um, they're not someone that I would ever go out of my way to listen to. Uh, but I know for a fact that we've been chatting and I've had just the worst day. I'm like, Drew, what am I listening to? And I'm expecting to get something angry. When I was younger, I used to listen to a lot of Disturbed
Mhm.
and such. Like I needed that type of outlet. And no, he just gives me some ska shine on. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good now. Like
It's
there's something about it that it's the brass again, right? Like you just get that
mm.
brightness um, from ska.
It's found in the music, it's found in the lyrics of this song. just that positivity. Like even down in the lyrics where he says, "But I can't stop from just smiling when that damn sun is shining on. Hell, it's just shining down all over me."
Yeah.
And it's funny that you mentioned like you're having a bad day. I remember this and "Sunny Days" by the Johnstones was probably
Mm,
another one that I'd send
yeah.
because I listen to a lot of aggressive and kind of down feeling music.
Yeah.
So you wanted to come for that. It's like a lethargy from feeding the monster,
Yeah.
but instead I come back with sunshine and rainbows.
And you know what? The thing is it worked. It is exactly what I needed to listen to. And I mean, it's not like we don't have bright, happy songs that we listen to. It's just
I spent years listening to ska.
yeah. Um,
Why the hell was she wearing Vans? Yeah. Um, so what are we feeling for number 7?
okay, so here's where my list is getting a little bit more mixed up. So I am going to go with a timeless one on this one. Jolene. 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 Jolene.
I don't know why, but my brain immediately went, Roxanne, you don't
You
need
don't
to
have to
turn up
put out the red light.
the
Roxanne. You don't need to sell your body to the night.
So
Which,
are you talking like Dolly Parton, or are we talking like Beyonce, or even because there was a live Miley?
okay, so this is one of those songs that actually I didn't know Beyonce had a version of it, to be honest. But almost every version of this song that I've heard, I love. So, of course, let's just go back to the classic Dolly Parton. Uh, she is a musical genius and always has been. There's lots of power behind the song. I think I read the other day that this song and I Will Always Love You were actually like written around the same time.
Makes sense to
So
me.
there's a bit of connection between the two. We then we've got the amazing versions like Jack White has another amazing version, which adds just a bunch of extra meaning to it. Like Jack White's got amazing power behind him,
Mhm.
and seeing him take this song, keeping that emotion, and then all of a sudden you get that extra twinge because of the gender bending, because he doesn't obviously change any of the gender of it, but the
Mhm.
entire meaning of the song shifts. And then you have um, Miley Cyrus's Backyard Sessions, absolutely amazing. And it you can see that there's a friendship and camaraderie between Miley and Dolly Parton because
Okay.
they've done the song together. Dolly Parton sang on I think she actually did a version of Wrecking Ball
Oh, I'd
with
like that.
Miley as well, right? And as we know, I made the wrong choice. I back Miley over Taylor. Um,
No, it's like, I mean, who
but
can't fall in love with Miley? Doesn't the song go, "Look at this wrecking ball"?
yes, that's exactly how it goes. um,
Okay, okay, I need to clarify something right now. I'm not a Swiftie. I just recognize the talent, the skill, and I mean, there's a lot of industry behind T Swift,
yeah,
but I really do feel like it's a story of a woman who was humble, it caught on, and just got very big.
yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted to clear the air. Yeah.
um, in reference, we've had this conversation about Taylor versus Miley in the past. There's something just visceral about every version of this song that I've ever listened to.
Mhm.
It is a raw, desperate plea, and every version that I've heard has nailed that feeling. And even though, they change it up and make it their own.
Mhm.
And I think it's honestly one of those reasons it's just gonna be one of those timeless songs that no one's gonna forget. It will be a standard,
Yep,
much like some
I
of the jazz
agree.
standards.
Like, the way you're expressing it to me is in a way of, like, a conversation we've had many times, which is understanding and respecting the original material,
Mhm.
knowing what it's about, and you can still make it yours from there. Not mimicking it, but actually making it your own while understanding what it is
Yeah.
very important. From that powerful beacon of a song, we go to
What trash
my
do you have
number
for us?
7. Well, that's my switch up. As you know, I like foreign pop music.
Yes, I do know this.
The song that I chose is the only K-pop song in my top 10. It is a song called "Come Back Home" by 21 or To Anyone, depending on how you're feeling. This is another one that I think is very easy to choreograph in my head, but the reason why I chose this is, to me, it represents peak K-pop,
Alright.
and there's a kind of a hipster aspect to it when I say that, because this song came out, it marks a point before the true global success of K-pop,
Mm,
before BTS were on Times covers multiple times, groups showing up in American cartoons, things like this. Like, K-pop was still just like a bunch of weirdos like me listening to Korean pop music, right?
mm,
And this song, so powerful, like even in its music video and its lyrics, does the mashup of genres that K-pop is known for well.
okay.
Like, I know you have a lot of problems with it, but in this one, it goes from like a reggae electropop to R&B and trap, and it kind of like goes through that, but like the change ups make sense. They give you a change of pace and a changing of emotion,
Mm.
opposed to like, oh, it's a rock ballad, and then oh, there's no bridge. It's just a dubstep bass drum.
Yeah, and to clarify, that's where a lot of my issue comes from. It's that I don't mind a good mix-up.
Mhm.
I think of, even though it threw me off guard, it works very well, something like, "Raise Your Weapon" by, Dead Mouse.
Mhm.
Like, honestly, the first 2/3 of the song, it's like, "Yeah, nope, this has kinda got that trancy feel," and then you just get that Dead Mouse drop. I'm like, "Wasn't expecting it. I'm good with this." Um
Yeah, when you're along for the ride, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where my issue with a lot of the K-pop stuff, comes from is, I know we've discussed this, off the podcast a few times. It's like every song is made for a TikTok. I can cut it up into 5 completely distinct pieces for 5 completely different genres, and everyone's gonna get the song.
Well,
And it doesn't feel cohesive.
and yeah, I think we discussed this off cast. So part of the reason for that is the K-pop machine,
Yeah.
the money-making machine understands how the majority of people interact with music, especially pop music. And the
Mhm.
reason why K-pop is so good for TikTok is because they intentionally create those moments of about that length.
Yeah.
So it's always perfectly fit into short form video.
Yeah.
And you see it like even in the way their dance routines are.
Mm.
Um, it's like they're all together, they're all doing a thing, but they're definitely making a point to be like, okay, now it's this member's turn, and this is their cool move that gets them attention.
You know, that was actually, so I recently went to an anime convention
Mhm.
because
Nerd.
I did not buy 3 body pillows.
Nerd.
Watching, one of the events they had on the outside stage
Mhm.
was, Idol Showcase,
Yeah.
and it was apparently a randomized list of, there was a K-pop section and a J-pop section where they would just play 30 seconds of a clip and just watching, sometimes it's just one person popping out and doing the dance, and sometimes it is 30 jumping
Yeah.
out and doing it. And, they have it down to such a science in the way that they do it, and it's replicable, that I have literally watched professional dance troupes that were not as in sync with these random people on the street. Um, though it is interesting because I kind of answered a question that was going to bring up there. Why did J-pop and J-rock never make it big over here? Like, unless your name is Utada Hikari and maybe Ayumi Hamasaki, no one knows who you are. And I wonder if some of it is that TikTok Shorts type thing that's helped push that.
There's this. I mean, this would be a topic for an exploratory podcast, to be
Mhm.
honest. But I'm going to try to talk about it very quickly from my
Yes, yes.
perception. I don't want to spark a conversation and just
Yeah.
give you a perspective. Um, the first thing is Japanese pop and Japanese rock is the way it's mixed is a higher sound. It sounds more tinny. It feels less full a lot of the time.
Mm,
No, I'm making a generalization, of course. It's also very Japanese minded, whereas when you compare it to K-pop, um, there's definitely American sensibilities in that
mm,
and a following of American trends more so. Whereas the type of idol J-pop songs have a clear lineage and it's very direct through them.
yeah, that's fair. I don't want to go into it too much. I do think that explains why Utada is someone that people actually know over here
Mhm.
because she's American. So there is some of that there, and Kingdom Hearts helps. I think the bigger reason that it always surprised me was anime.
The thing is, okay, I saw a recent thing. The majority of people who watch anime in Japan are, I think it's average age in 40s right now.
Mm,
Just a lot of adults watching cartoons. And I mean, you have some popular ones for the kids. And this goes actually into my second point. But K-pop hooked them young and developed from there.
mm,
When anime grew out of being unpopular.
yeah,
We were the kids that got made fun of for liking the cool thing. And much like video games, in the end, we're laughing because all our haters are freaking catching the new episode of Demon Slayer that just came out.
right.
um, but it grew from that, right?
Yeah.
So if anime started just becoming popular now and was just accepted, I think Japanese music would be more friendly. There's also they use less English, so it's less palatable for the layman.
All right, I could see that.
Less
Um,
English than K-pop, actually, I have to give a qualifier on that.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, again, there's a reason why, like, I had to very specifically say both versions of voices earlier. Uh, and
Well, let's
again, both versions of like Simple and Clean
mhm.
and Sanctuary. It's the same thing. But, I mean, again, that's what happens when you have someone who is American. Like, I guess she's American Japanese, but
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Well, let's move on for that. Sixes.
oh, my list is getting hard here. Okay, I am going to do "Here's to Us" by Hailstorm. I'm not sure if I've actually played that one for you. So
Usually when we start exploring music, I don't absorb the titles, I just absorb the
yeah,
sound.
here's to us, here's to love, all the times that we messed up.
Actually,
Mm,
I think I listened to this song on my own.
all right.
Yeah.
um, it is again. There's a lot of emotion to it. It is a very simple song,
Mm,
and it from what I understand of the story of it, it does kind of come from a very similar place to like a Turn the Page,
mm.
road weary. thing. And sometimes it's just like, you know what? No, let's stick around. Let's have another round. Right. And you know what? Yeah, the last few days have kicked my ass. Uh, but I'm going to keep going. And if the world tells me to stop it, I'm going to, flip and bird right back. And there's just an energy to that. And it's like the perfect bar song.
Hmm.
It's good, if you just want to stick around for a bit. It's good if you've been having a rough time because you're just like, nope, it's okay. It'll get better.
Yeah, life is hard
We'll stick it
sometimes,
out.
and you got to take those moments.
Oh yeah, and it's again, there's just a this is kind of a thing that's going to happen with a few of my songs here now. There's just
Hmm.
a rawness to the emotion and uh, I think we kind of talked about this when we were watching Carol and Tuesday because it was well, I know we talked about it during Carol and Tuesday because it was one of the underlying themes, right? So we compare this to where you're going like that quintessential manufactured um, K-pop and
Hmm.
K-rock sound, and you strike that against just someone sitting down with a guitar and just pouring their emotions out, whatever they are. And I am a sucker for
For the
for
raw,
that for that raw emotional draw.
just taking it raw. Listen to that song. Um, and then, you know what? Kind of being like taking a short introspective moment here, but I think I've lost some of the rawness to what I guess I feel or listen to because of the last like decade of just listening to trash pop
Mm.
and loving it.
Well, it's interesting because when we started doing some of our music bits
Mm.
afterwards, I know you were definitely showing me a lot more of that trashy pop, and I started, reintroducing some of this raw rock and new metal, and now you got Sleep Token.
Ah, love Sleep Token.
Yeah,
Not on
there's
my list.
yeah, I didn't think it was. But yeah, you get songs like this. You have songs by Blackmore's Night, which does that very similar thing. Oh, I cannot remember the name of the song, and it was not on my list. Or again, I think it's a good mix between Turn the Page and just kind of a more cheerful bar songs you'll get because it recognizes where it comes from. And again, just that defiance that I think is you know what I grew up with. Mm,
Um, what we'll probably find is as we kind of go through my songs coming up, they become I'm gonna say that it showcases me internally
mm.
to more than I actually show the world. So the people who encounter this podcast and actually listen to it will, if they listen to the end, I think they'll have a greater understanding of who I am inside. Something fragile, something I'm bearing to the world, right?
But when will your reflection show who you are inside?
I, wait, you confused me. I don't. I
I made a song reference based off of something you just said.
thought you called me a vampire.
No, no, no. I was comparing you to Christina Aguilera and a Chinese girl trying to be a man.
I I don't know the song.
Do
Be
you know what
gentle.
do you know what I'm referencing in any way, shape, or form?
No.
Well, let's just say it comes from a not musical, as you would put it.
So is
Um,
it Disney?
it is a Disney movie. Reflection from Mulan.
You know what? I haven't seen Mulan, but I've been wanting to watch it.
All right,
Um,
that's getting added to the list. You need to watch it. The original, not the trash remake.
uh, so my sixth is the one and only hip hop entry to my list, and it's also the song that I use the song that I use to introduce people who don't usually like hip hop in into hip hop. One because of the very artful music video, and the other because there is actually a rawness to it, and you can
Mhm,
feel it, and it's not about guns and drugs and broads. It's s- something revealing about the artist. It's a
okay.
song called "Cycles to Gehenna" from Aesop Rock.
Yeah.
What I like about the song itself is it kind of paints this picture of feeling of like an aimless progression. You are moving forward, but it's where the wind is taking you.
Mm,
It feels like you're moving along the edge, the razor's edge, willingly, and you don't care.
mm. Yeah, that's, I know you've played this for me. Like, I could not remember the name of the song, but I had a perfect idea of what you were talking about, and I can, like, vaguely recall the music video. I don't listen to hip hop very much.
No, no. Well, I
Um,
remember in those times you were like, you said like, I don't listen to hip hop, but I quite like that. Was
yeah,
essentially what you said.
yeah, and it's one of those things that's very hard to do, walking that line and just kind of letting letting the flow go. Oh, man, there was a few music videos that I was just watching, from, that channel that you keep posting, and I can't remember their name. 12 Tone.
uh, yeah,
12 Tone.
yeah.
Where they talk about, um, trying to write that music, have that drive while still being aimless.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, there's just something, it's a very difficult line to write for, but when you get it, oh, you're gonna get some of the most powerful songs out there. Fast Car is a good example of that type of sound.
Mm.
Um,
Passenger.
Passenger, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, again, there's just something about rawness that you can fake a lot of things, but there's definitely some of these emotions you can't. There's so you know that there's something there.
The motorcycle analogy helps. If you know me.
Yeah. Drew and his wheelie boy.
Yeah, just being a wheelie, being a boy. You know what time it is?
Is it time
Ti
for my number 5?
time for a high five.
High five. Yeah. All right. So this is one of the songs that I feel could be on both of our lists.
Hmm.
Um,
Is it "Toxic" by Britney Spears?
okay, that's on my maybe list, and, um,
Don't you know that I'm toxic?
ooh, it is Wicked Game.
Ooh, because there was a remake of Wicked Game, right?
Yes, and I know you
Um,
listen the hymn one, you listen to a
yeah.
lot.
Well, that
Uh,
was given to me. I actually have a song from that era, but it is not that song. But the reason why I fell into that song is because a girl made me a mix CD.
yeah, she did.
Um,
And that is honestly one of the big reasons why I thought that this one had the potential to be on both of our lists.
mm,
It sounds like I wasn't necessarily off, but
it was a false love.
yeah, yeah. But again, the emotions are still there.
Yeah,
But yeah, Chris Isaac's Wicked Game is
so good.
again, it is just absolutely amazing. So again, let's just start with the visuals of the music video. Chris Isaac and whoever it was that he was in the video with were so steamy they thought of banning the video because they thought they were actually going at it. It is a very steamy, raw, sensual feel.
Mhm,
This is played out through the lyrics. You have someone who's obviously trying to be distant but can't, which is very well shown in the final line of the lyrics. Where he's most of the time he's going, "I don't want to be loved," and then he goes like he basically does a purposeful double negative, which changed that around. Then from a technical standpoint, it is honestly one of the best songs for a guy to learn to sing, to know how to jump between all of his ranges,
Oh.
because it builds it up properly. Like, you do a chest, so you've got the chest voice at the beginning, and then during the chorus he definitely goes into the head voice,
Mhm.
and it just builds fantastically. There is a good video by someone called the Charismatic Voice.
Yep.
She's a classically trained opera singer who has found metal and rock and has fallen in love with it because she all of a sudden actually understands it a lot more, which is really interesting when you hear it coming from a classical singer. And because Tenacious D did a cover of it as well, so she basically compared the two versions,
Mm.
uh, both stellar, because Jack Black is an amazing singer, and she really, if you're trying to sing, I would recommend going and watching that video,
Mm.
because she points out very well where the the vocal changes happen.
Mhm.
So this one here, probably more than any song on my list, is one of those ones that just hits everything, from the technical, from the rawness, from the lyric meanings. It's I've just got I think there's more emotional weight behind a lot of the songs that are above this. Uh,
Mhm.
when I was trying to narrow down the song, this was one of the ones that I put kind of in the middle of my lists, because I think it represented mostly what I was looking for. Um, just so you know, to narrow down the list, Drew might have had 15 songs. I had 60, and I probably could have gone further. Um,
Yeah, it was probably good that we only had a week time to prepare.
oh yeah, yeah. But I basically had a mini tournament arc,
Tournament arc!
with all of my songs to try to narrow this down.
Just
Um,
brackets.
yeah. And again, it's one of those things, like, I've heard 4 or 5 different versions, and they all, I mean, the Jack Black version is straight up homage.
Mhm.
Um, but, again, lots of different versions of it that all managed to keep the feeling while changing it. Again, that hymn version in particular.
And this is fun because it's like night and day, the kind of feeling between the two different
Mm.
music or the two different songs at each point. And again, I have a contrasting song for you here.
Ooh.
And some people who know me might think this would be higher up, but I think this is a good place for it. It's a song called "STEM" by Static X from their album
Mm,
Wisconsin Death Trip.
mm,
Now, this song has a definitive rawness to it. It is very aggressive. It sounds very negative, like down to lyrics like "A burning conscience severs the stem." The allusions to self harm in this song, just how it comes in with just screaming
mm.
in that standard Ripwing Static raspy way. But the thing that secures this on this list is not negative for me. It's actually very positive.
Alright.
Finding this song was like it was like a beacon. It made me realize that I was in a bad place, that I was sunken in depression.
Mm,
And through it, I found that I was able to gain more control on my happiness, my sadness, and where I was in life altogether.
yeah.
So when this song comes on, people will be like, "Turn off that devil music." I'll be like, "But it makes me happy."
That is something that a lot of people that don't listen to, metal, industrial,
Mhm.
new metal, they don't get that, because they can't hear past the scream.
Mm.
And as I alluded to earlier, I used a lot of Disturbed, a little bit of Corn here and there to get me through some rough times. Well, you need to have that release of emotion
Mm.
that's there. And it's raw again in a very different way than the songs that I've been talking about.
Mhm.
Um,
It's like a raw nerve, the raw emotion to it, not the
yeah,
raw, um, sound.
yeah. And so there's a couple of aspects that happen with music like that, and you hit that raw nerve, and sometimes you need to like it's important to feel that pain
Mhm.
because otherwise it's way too easy to become so numb.
I see what you did there. I got I can't hit that note.
So you do that to feel something. It's so much that it pushes past that, and
Mhm.
it also lets you realize that you're not alone. Uh, when you start getting that rawness in the metals,
Mhm.
um, because they're expressing something that you aren't able to, and that's important, and it lets you heal, as you said.
Yeah,
Um,
lets you heal. It puts a face, a sound, a word to something that you're feeling and can't describe, right?
yeah,
And it just and that's why, like, one of my most keystone songs
mhm,
is one that sounds so negative, and I don't generally share it with people because it's that aggressive. If I'm
yeah.
sending someone I don't know a Static X song, it's probably gonna be December. Um,
Yeah.
anyway,
Oh,
fours.
torn between which one to go with here. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. This is one of those ones that also is very well known for some circa 2000 AMVs. I think it might be the only song so far that we've talked about that was actually on like our some of our playlists when we would go road tripping.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, "Disarm" by the Smashing Pumpkins.
Mm. Oh, I didn't expect the Smashing Pumpkins to be on these lists, but knowing your breadth of taste,
Yeah,
yeah.
this song is again one of those ones that this is the last song on the list that is very much affects me personally. Um, um, it's not something we talk about much. We've kind of alluded to here. I've had some. Wasn't the easiest of childhoods for me, and this song is one that every aspect of it. Um, I haven't actually talked about this. um, this song perfectly encapsulated me in my teenage years. Um, you combine that with the Wolfwood AMV. Um, uh, you get the lyrics, just starting off, disarm you with a smile, cut you like you want me to, cut that little child. It That was me. That's where I was coming from. I was that little boy who was way too old in his shoes, and
Mm.
um, you know,
And when you and there I'm, like, sitting here trying to affirm you, and I just realized my mic was muted. Um, well, there is something about that, like, when you go through hardship, it can stunt your growth intellectually or emotionally, and when and this kind of harkens back to STEM, right?
yeah,
Something about it is deeply you.
yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm actually tearing up here.
Feel your
Um,
feelings, like, I was having trouble when I was talking about STEM, so,
yeah.
um
um, yeah, no, it's just everything about the song. It is Uh, it was the person I needed to be at that
Mm,
time, for better or worse, and, yeah, for that reason, uh,
just a major stepping stone in your
it
life.
yeah, and, I go back to it again and again and again because um,
Especially
this
when you need
is
to feel something to remember something so,
yeah,
vividly in an emotional state.
yeah, so, and it's good car karaoke.
Hey, Devin,
Oh, hey, Drew?
I have a problem.
Oh,
Can't sleep. Wishful thinking's playing.
yeah. Oh, I knew this one was gonna be there.
Number 4, I voted for
Oh,
Kodos. Wishful thinking in 4th period.
oh.
Um,
I wanna be a hoodie
but it's
sweatshirt.
um, so
Oh,
the can't slip joke is an inside joke between, me, Devin, and, somebody else. We were going on a road trip to see I Voted for Kodos. This was a trip from Edmonton, Alberta to Appleton, Wisconsin.
that
It
we
was
did on a whim.
on a whim, 26 hours driving straight, to which I drove something like 21 of it.
Yeah, but I had to drive through Minneapolis.
Yeah, I would have killed us. I had been up for like 20 hours driving at that point, but I was trying to catch some Z's in the back. All of a sudden, this song started playing, and I bolt up, and I'm like, "I can't sleep," and they're like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Wishful thinking's playing." Um,
Oh.
no, the this song is not actually on the list because of that friendship in that instance.
I think it just
Um,
helps.
it definitely helps. I Voted for Kodos was a very specific time of my life.
Mhm.
One of my honorable mentions is also kind of similar. This this was like a wandering eyes song for me. I started attributing this song to every potential love that came across my way.
Yeah, I can see that.
I was definitely in a weird emotional state, having had a very major breakup and then a couple small breakups that just like put me in a weird place. But like,
And then some
uh,
cute girl walks by and you just collapse.
just collapse. There's not. I mean, I think everyone should check out this song. It is just a fun little ditty by I Voted for Kodos. It's enjoyable. You can put it on a mixtape to someone that you like. But
This entire album is amazing and definitely runs the gambit of something pretty happy like this, and I Hope You Die in a Fire. Uh, that's another song title. It's amazing. Or, wasn't Made of Scars, 'cause that's, Stone Sour, but they had a song like that too on that album, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah, and honestly, this is something that, surprisingly hasn't come up in this conversation at all, but I know we've talked about off podcast, just clever lyrics.
Mhm.
Again, "Be my A side and I'll always be beside you."
I
Like,
love
it's just such a good line. Absolutely, absolutely a bop. I am not surprised at all that that was on your list.
Yeah. There's
I thought of having some that were, from that road trip as well, but, I realized that the only reason I was putting them on that list was because of that road trip.
yeah.
Um,
This definitely rings farther than just a road trip.
yeah.
That that being said, there is actually another song on my list that I think you will have expected once I say the name. Um,
Is it what you opened up the podcast with?
no. Alright, we are down to top 3s.
Yes.
This is where people realize whether or not we actually have any type of taste in music. or
I
whether
like
they understand us at all.
to um, I don't think too well, I don't think any of mine are going to surprise you, other than you might not remember what one of the songs is.
It's like listening to it for the first time. Um, you'll expect the artists
Hmm.
from me. This is a bit telegraphed. You just know me too well.
Yeah.
All right, down
Yeah.
to it.
Oh, alright. I don't know if that actually picked up on the mic.
It it's funny,
Oh,
you accidentally kneeing your desk picks up better than that.
really? That's
Yeah.
insane.
Anyways,
Uh,
drum roll. Number 3, Devin.
Rock and Roll Heaven by the Pretty Reckless.
Ah.
So, um, I'm pretty sure this has been discussed on podcasts, probably in our year in reviews. Pretty Reckless is one of my top 3 bands. Taylor Momsen is just absolutely phenomenal. Puts on an amazing show. Just again, she's got such a rawness to her sound, and you can tell she knows how to use her voice very well. So this was actually a really tough choice of which song of hers to put into to represent that. I decided to go with Rock and Roll Heaven over one of the ones that I put in the honorable mentions. Again, because of the um, this Heartland rock, um, almost memorandum. It's this is the song that just drenches with the love of music. When you've got lines like "I stole my daddy's vinyl, burn that needle out." Jimmy, Janis, and Morrison, garden full of sounds. Like it's you can feel that love, these references to these great classics. Some lines it's like, I learned a long, long time ago that my tune is way off. That life is like a song, and the music keeps on playing even after you are gone. This is from the album Death by Rock and Roll, which I know has a lot of emotional resonance to her. And I think a lot of the songs on this album kind of tie to that. So she always had the dream of performing with Chris Cornell, and luckily she got to the day before he killed himself. And a lot of the songs throughout this album are reflecting of that.
Mhm.
Uh, and there's just a reverence, respect. It's one of those things again where you know that she just she loves music, everything about music, and respects the stories behind it.
Mhm.
Uh, and it clearly shaped her. And I think the song puts it perfectly to words.
It's interesting too because on an album called Death by Rock and Roll, a song where it appears to be living as rock and roll or by rock and roll. It's just a fun little comparison for me.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't listened to too much Pretty Reckless, but I've enjoyed everything that you've shown me
Mhm.
because in no way could you say that they're any type of like poserness, that they're real, that they are rock and roll.
Yeah.
Uh,
What do we
for
have for number 3? Drum rolls.
uh, that's better. That's better. Uh, to be expected, one of my favorite bands, Streetlight Manifesto.
Mhm.
The song is "The Receiving End of It All."
All right. Oh.
Lis- Listening to this song and even reviewing the lyrics, this one is very expressive of me. And what you would need to understand is I'm both Marigold and the narrator at the same time.
Mm,
To me, it represents hanging on to things that should be let go, even as everything kind of sinks and falls apart around me.
mm,
Um, and I think the way that it opens up to is like perfectly expressive of that. With so Marigold, my love, you've had too much to drink, and I need not remind you our discount tickets for this sinking ship.
mm.
Uh, what I find interesting about it is this person criticizing another person while still remaining in that supposed hypothetical relationship in this song.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel that I am both the narrator and Marigold.
I think that's something that's just powerful with song. Like I'm just glancing at the lyrics here. The sound isn't coming to me offhand, but I definitely know
It's
it's one
very
you've.
upbeat ska.
Yeah, I know it's one you've played for me. It's just again not something I've listened to recently, and it was never on our regular playlist. The thing is, we're all both the narrator and Marigold all the
Mm,
time, and just knowing the time that we're looking at here, you know, again, this is going to be around times where you were having some. You were still having some of those rough emotional patches,
yeah.
and it's hard. Like, I think just the lyrics paint this perfectly. It's like just the next line in there. And I need not remind you our discount tickets for the sinking ship. So there's that sunk cost fallacy that comes in,
Mhm.
and you're like, oh no, we can make it work, or even you can't. And it's funny the way you describe that to me. I know it's something that we talked about a lot when we are nerds playing Go. The idea of knowing when to let some of your territory go
Mhm.
because it's hurting you, and you need to. There's not a point in defending that type of thing. Um, it doesn't ever make it any easier.
Well, we
Uh,
definitely have learned through our mistakes, both of us.
yes. Yep, that song does not surprise me at all.
Especially from Streetlight Manifesto, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I was much into Streetlight Manifesto for a long time, and then I found this song, and I just like, "This is it, this explains it perfectly." It
yeah.
was the thing I was looking for at the time.
Um,
Speaking of things that I'm looking for at this time, number 2.
Number 2, alright, number 2 is an absolute classic. Um, Again, I am in 2 songs that I could see us both having on our list, but I don't think this one would be on yours. My
Is
number 1.
it
Yep, go ahead.
is it Milkin' Cereal by VT's Finest?
No.
One of the original memes on the internet?
It is not.
Never mind then. Let me get a new number 1 real quick.
So, my number 2 song is "Zombie."
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Um, I think that says it all. Just everything about this song. It's captive of again, there's that emotional rawness because you know that this was her life with the conflict in Ireland. It's raw, it's deceptively simple, and you can hear the pain um, that she's going through and trying to express
Mhm.
very well, um, very well throughout. Uh,
It's to the emotion of this song to me was so perfectly expressed in the original, I've not yet heard a cover I like.
yeah, the closest cover that comes, I cannot remember the band that did it. Um, they were supposed to do it with her,
Mm.
but that was like right before she died. So obviously she wasn't um, there to do it. And that cover is always a bit weird to me because you can tell that she had her hand in it. It's got
Mm.
that same sound, but they make some lyric changes that, while makes sense for the time, steals this song from its time and place. This was it was a protest song without being overtly political unless you knew, and it was very specific to what was happening in Ireland. So it captures that time period. It captures the time period of the music
What
as
did
well.
what did they call it in Doctor Who? I'm not a Who person. A moment that can't be changed is a fixed moment in time or
Something like
position of
that.
time, and I feel like this song is kind of representative of that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that can be co-opted for, other purposes
Mm.
because it was perfectly representative of the events that were occurring at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, one of the only other songs that I can think of that fits fits that bill, which I know I've definitely talked about before. I complained endlessly about it. Was "Dear Mr. President" by the Dixie Chicks.
Mhm.
That was again, what, a decade later, trying to hit on similar type of points, obviously with American politics instead.
Yeah.
That one was obviously more overtly political.
Mhm.
You can tell by the title, but and just no one can nail it like her. This is one of those songs that's always going to be there, much in the same way as Jolene will. Agree with you. There's never been a cover of the song that has hit it. That's just taken her power and her raw emotion and her hurt and pain and expressed it anywhere near as well. And I can't think of a way to make that your own.
Mm. Well described. What a great choice. Was that a contender for number 1? Was it?
That is one of the contenders for number one. It was one that I thought there was a chance of being on your list, but
You might be well, I don't think you'll be surprised, but he sets off the beauty in her. He's Venus, Venus as a boy. Probably gonna cut out that singing, but Bjork's Venus
Mm,
as a boy.
yeah.
Um, one thing that you know about me, I had a mysterious ailment for over a year,
Mm,
where for me to fall asleep, I had to be listening to Bjork.
yep.
So I just had it on very low, like in an earbud, and I would just kinda, like, drift off. It was partially because of insomnia, and there was a fundamental solace with Bjork that I had.
Mhm.
But with the song to me is exactly what you expect from listening to the song and looking at the lyrics. It's definitely a self-ID. It explores kind of like this mischievous sexual side of me
Mhm.
that's not present in anything else that I listen to.
Yeah.
Um,
Something only straight guy at a Bjork concert.
it's hard to be the only straight guy at a Bjork concert.
I did I kind of expected some Bjork. The one that I always go to in my mind, and I think it's probably just because there's covers of it and, you know, amazing music videos to it, is, Army of Me.
Oh, well, I mean,
Is
the staple Bjork song, right?
Yeah, exactly. Uh, which is why I didn't think it would be there, and it's also why it didn't end up being on my list. Though, In This Moment has an amazing cover on their new album. Yeah.
I could see that. Well, I mean, good swath of these lists are just us exposing ourselves to the world, so
Very true.
mischievously, not sexually though. I mean, like,
You gotta pay for that. I hear you like feet.
Um,
And also one of the best parts of the Northman.
the feet.
Oh, I was gonna say Bjork.
Oh, yeah, Björk was the best part of the
Oh, well, this is the
movie.
best part of any Tarantino movie.
All right. This brings it down to the finale.
Okay, so are we doing the
Number
finale or are
one.
we doing our honorable mentions first?
Uh, I like honorable mentions.
Okay. I've got 6.
Geez.
Um,
Okay.
though, and I know you've got less. Um, think you got what, 4?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
We'll
let
give
me
it.
start. My first honorable mention is going to be the only instrumental piece that I have.
Mm.
Um, and that is the Gerudo Valley theme from Ocarina of Time. That song can live rent free in my head forever, and I'm pretty sure it's about the only thing you'll like of Zelda.
I like the original. My my first honorable mention is actually it is another K-pop song. It was originally in my top 10. It probably is my favorite K-pop song. It's from a group called Red Velvet, and it's called Kingdom Come. It's a high quality K-pop song, and it gives me chills, and it doesn't really have the switch up. It's kind of this poppy R&B, and there's something about it. There's a desire there that I really enjoy.
I believe you've played that one for me several times, and my response was like, "Yep, this is the right groove."
This is the groove.
Yeah. All right. My next one is going to be one of the songs that again kind of hit me very emotionally.
Mhm.
Um, it's a song that both me and my brother really liked. That just kind of resonated with both of us, and that is "When I Fall" from the Bare Naked Ladies.
Mm.
Um, the imagery of that song has always stuck with me. This kind of that desperation, but you know, finding whatever you can to hold on to. And, even when the intrusive thoughts of when I fall from a scaffold um, tries to hit you, finding that secular rosary to hold on to and keep yourself together. Always been a big one for me.
I fell off a ladder in an apple tree into a wombat hole once. One of my legs was outside the hole and the other one went in the hole, so I ended up kneeing myself in the face. Um, and of course, that's the objectively wrong Bare Naked Ladies twist, as we know. Bryan Wilson is the S tier Bare Naked Ladies. Um,
Oh.
so my next honorable mention was my original number 10, which got pushed out when I remembered the epic that is Around the Fur. And it is from the band that I was singing at the beginning of this. That is Orgy. And the song is called Pure. This is also a song that was representative of around the same time as I voted for Kodos. Whereas this one, just heartbreak after heartbreak, and every new love was just another cut.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it's at. And it's that moment in time was already representative, and Around the Fur is Around the Fur.
Yeah. You should point out just with an honorable mention. So, Pure and of course Stitches, which you were saying at the beginning.
Mm.
These are songs that ended up being very formative to me through you.
Oh,
Not
I
for
yeah.
not for that emotional resonance, but it was like you introducing to this to me helped bring me more into that industrial metal sounds, where I was coming from a lot more classic rock at that time. And a lot of my
I
music
can
choices come
show
straight
you
from
the
this stuff.
world, shining, shimmering,
Um,
splendid.
so yeah, not surprised that one was there. All right, my next honorable mention very much goes back to what I was talking about with Paradise at the Dashboard Lights.
Mhm.
So Again, we're talking karaoke staple, just one of my favorites, Billy Joel's Piano Man. Uh, I really don't think much needs to be said about that song. It is literally just the perfect build-up from a guy at a bar just going, "I don't know, why am I here?" It's like, right, because everyone else here, and, oh, just the build of that song, top tier.
Also makes you glad that you don't know the piano, otherwise people always ask you to play that song.
It's true.
My next honorable mention is a song from the Flatliners called "This Respirator."
Mm,
It represents a transitory time in my life, but it feels like it was my anthem for a decade, and I've grown past that moment in time in my life so well that the song could not make the list because 'cause I've grown past the song.
I get that. That's, I really get that. That's honestly something that's hard with some of these songs. I think I had songs on my list that was that exact same thing. It's like, nope, it was important, not anymore.
Oh, there's bands I
Uh,
can't even listen to anymore.
yeah. Yeah, that's fair. All right, my next honorable mention is, "Evolution" by Ayumi Hamasaki.
Mm. That
Uh,
was the first, J-pop song I ever liked.
mm, it Ayumi Hamasaki is she is amazing. It's funny, I was at the anime convention over the weekend, and, they do, like, a karaoke thing or, anime idol song, and people who can sing songs, and, one of the people did, "Dearest" from Inuyasha, which is
Mm.
where most people probably know Ayumi Hamasaki from, and it's funny, like, my buddy that I was there was like, "I haven't heard this song in, like, a decade." It's like, "I listened to this song yesterday." Because Ayumi
This is
Hamasaki
this is on my mixtape.
pretty much. Ayumi Hamasaki is someone that I've always gone back to. Uh, this song in particular, I think, was where I really started getting more into the J-rock, because again, she comes from that pop sound, but this definitely had a more metal edge to it.
Mhm.
And again, just amazing music video, amazing drive. Always a pleasure to listen to.
My last honorable mention is going to be the song that introduced me into rock and metal and new metal, and you're eyeing it like I should know this.
Yeah.
Um, the song is "Suffocate" by Finger Eleven.
Okay.
It effectively awakened me musically,
Mm,
was my original favorite song.
yep.
For many reasons, I don't listen to Finger Eleven anymore. They achieved real big fish's dream. We could say that.
Wish I was Aaron. I wish I was Scott.
Um,
Yeah, nope, that makes sense. That was one of the couple ones I was thinking that, as you described it, I realized what was originally in my head would not have been that transition. It was what led you to that transition. Um,
you're saying I
um,
transitioned?
yes. With your musical tastes. Um, all right, so I have two more left. I've kind of alluded to them both earlier.
Mm,
Um, so one of them is "I Like It Heavy" by Hailstorm.
mhm.
Again, there's just something driving, and that it expresses that love of music and that feel of music extremely well. Just that thumping in your chest that you get when you're at a rock show, and mm, and that one's kind of got a bonus, hidden track at the end of it, which is which is much softer. I think it's just purely her singing that lives rent free in my head. It is the thing that, as you've alluded to, there with wishful thinking, the hidden track that's follows "I Like It Heavy" is very much what I would like in a relationship. um, it's just like, let's just buy a bottle of whiskey, get matching tattoos. Let's just
That runaway love.
yeah. And the other one was the one that I was fighting with Rock and Roll Heaven for is Take Me Down, also by the Pretty Reckless.
Mm.
Um, again, it is driving, it's got that heartland rock, just it captures again that emotion of rock with, the little bit of playing into the little bit of devil worship that people seem to like to think is what all metal is.
But should I
Um,
put away the candles and incense then?
you just hide them.
Like a
Yeah,
chess player.
those are my honorable mentions.
With that, it brings us to the finale.
Mm.
What everyone has been waiting for. Everyone.
Drew's feet picks.
It's on my OnlyFans. Our top choices. Number one. What is your number one greatest song of all time?
All right. I want you to give us a serious guess.
Give me a sec.
Okay.
Is it from Mamma Mia, Dancing Queen?
How did you know?
This is a
No,
serious guess.
no, it is not that. It is definitely more in line with a lot of my other songs that I've had here.
I'm
Uh,
surprised for your
mm.
honorable mentions you weren't like, oh yeah, the entire soundtrack to this musical.
Oh, you saw my list. It was very hard to narrow down. Um, my number one is from the Man in Black. Hurt.
I was thinking Will Smith.
Wrong man. No, from the Man in Black, not from Men in Black.
In all seriousness, though, that is a number one pick. Oof.
This song, oh, I mean, so first of all, this is the perfect example of taking a cover, changing it up just enough to make it your own. Much in the way that Nirvana took a man who ruled the world from David Bowie and made
Mm.
it theirs. This is not Reznor's song anymore. Even Reznor says it's not his song anymore.
It's just because
Uh,
it was. I've never heard something before this that had been done so perfectly by someone who was not its creator.
yeah. And obviously, this was one of the very last songs that he recorded.
Hmm.
This album came out right after his wife died, and you can feel every bit of pain that he's going through. He had a long life, he had a hard life, he had a lot of good in his life, and everything about the song captures it. Everything about the music video captures it. It's they took a song that was very he took a song that was very I always felt it was like more of a statement on society
Mm.
from Reznor and made it very much about what he was going through. Made a couple of just a I think he only made like one lyric change in the entire song. Uh, but just that instrumentation change and the resonance of anything coming from Johnny Cash is a powerful thing. And this was the one song that didn't have any issues with when I was coming out with my list. I knew from the start this was my number one.
Such a top tier pick. Jeez.
This is why I thought there was a chance it'd be on your list too.
No, but it does sync well into my number one.
Okay.
I originally wasn't going to tell the story, but because you were so vulnerable with your Smashing Pumpkins song earlier, I'm going to tell the story.
All right.
You know the concept of like the death of your idol?
Yeah.
What do you think it would feel like to experience that in reality?
Ooh.
When I was 17, I temporarily moved out of my family's house. This was before I had a real job and I had like moved away. A few months later, um, I moved in with just a couple friends. We are just up the hill in the town I was living in, and I ended up getting connected uh, with somebody that I knew of in high school. So in high school, I had a role model. He seemed confident. He knew who he was. He he liked the music he liked. Of course, it was, hard. He was a grade above me, and the confidence he showed is something that I idolized. And he didn't really know me. But when I moved out, I had met him and, I had started befriending him. And I had started kind of coming into my own at the time.
Right.
So I was walking down the hill. I forget where I was going. I think I was just going to the corner store to get some soda. And a mutual friend comes running up, and I don't even, it was a coincidence. And they said that this person, the person I've been describing, was in the hospital in the emergency room. So I went and I ran to them, and they let me into the emergency room. And I saw him on the gurney, the bed in the emergency room. What would happened is he had an emotional outburst. One of his best friends was leaving and probably not going to come back. They had been drinking. So he went into the bathroom and smashed up the mirrors and started cutting on himself. And he was trying to kill himself that night, self harm. The police had to tase him, and then he ended up in the hospital. And I show up, and I'm looking at him, arms bandaged, and he's looking up at me with this blank stare. And he kind of explained part of it to me, and I'm like, "Man, it'll get better. Like, I look up to you. You're my role model." And the way that he looked at me, he said, "Yeah, right." Um, I don't even think I've told you that story before.
No, no,
Uh,
this is new to me.
so when I speak about knowing the death of the idol, I feel it intrinsically, and it brings me to my number one pick. Drum roll, please. My number one pick is a song by the Flatliners called "He Was a Jazz Man."
Mm,
The imagery evoked by the song brings me back to that moment. It is such a wonderful song. The way that it hits emotionally as he's describing seeing this person decay and wither in a hospital bed. And there's just something about when the bridge comes on and it changes time signatures and things pick up and it goes from the singer's raspy, pained singing
yeah.
into something clear without that rasp, this vocal, into just a scream of the
Mhm.
lyrics. It's just so beautifully crafted.
That's a song that I know we've listened to a few times together. And yeah, I never had an inkling that that was the emotional resonance that had come from that. I
I thought it would
yeah.
be good to repay you the vulnerability that you showed
Yeah.
earlier with some personal vulnerability.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm not gonna cry like a little bitch, but, uh,
Oh.
'cause
Yeah,
I'm hot now, like, my body went up like 5 degrees talking about that.
yeah.
Cut and post. No, I won't.
Oh. Well, that is a good choice, and, I think that's one of the big things with music overall. it's one of those things that's impossible to separate the emotions.
Mm.
I think that's why, most of my songs were there because they have some sort of emotional um, resonance. It's why neither of our playlists are the same. Uh,
Mm.
and I mean, it's like, as you said, there's a reason why there are songs that I definitely could have seen on here, but that's just not who we are anymore. So it doesn't make sense for them to be there.
It's
Uh,
so interesting looking at music in that way. On both our lists, we have ones that describe moments in our life which were impactful, and the ones that we grew through and developed beyond
yeah,
are the ones that just didn't need to be on the list anymore.
yeah, and that's how it's always going to be. Honestly, is it like this was some difficult homework, but I think it was is good, you know, throwing the spaghetti at the wall and like from my side looking at it, it's like, okay, why is this on my list? Is it actually representing? Is it something that needs to be there? And though I know you could ask me tomorrow, my list will be different. I definitely think at least half my list would probably all be there for quite some time to come.
I had the reverse problem where it was hard finding songs to put on it. Again, a symptom of just listening to trash pop for a decade, but also the fact that I can't even listen to half of the music I used to listen to
Mm,
because it just puts me in a weird emotional mindset that I don't enjoy, that they just don't come to mind anymore, those songs.
that's fair. And I
And
think that was some of the songs I was thinking like might have been there. I think is coming from that. Honestly, to touch on that, it's like I'm kind of surprised you led with singing Stitches.
uh,
Like, because I feel like that is a song, well, definitely very top tier, I think, for both of us. Um, it's one of those songs that I kind of had where it's like, I think I've moved past this. I think you're kind of at that same point and why you chose Pure instead. Still represent that. Um,
what's funny, I always get like 2, 3 times a week since I heard the song, I've gotten it stuck in my head. Just tying yourself to me, like something about the
yeah,
way that that set of lyrics flows.
yeah.
Um, so it literally the first song I thought of after I press record.
Mm. Yep, that makes perfect sense. It is definitely an earworm.
It was that or, "So here's my number,
So
call me
call me
maybe."
maybe. All the
"Look at
other
this, call
guys.
me baby."
And I like that I think both of us actually had quite a quite a mix in the styles as well.
Without that mix, it might end up just being like, "Oh, yeah, here's how I felt when I was 25 on Tuesday, and here's how I felt when I was 25 on Wednesday."
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Is anything on your side, do you think, to any codas for you? That's the
coda?
end of the song.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Much like the end of this cast.
Yes.
Well, with that, this has been, Beauty and the Beast, BatB Hey. If you enjoy what we do, check out our website, beautyandthebeast.com, for a full list of services that we're available on. Give us a like and subscribe, and I totally mixed up this ending, and I moved things around, and I'm lost now. Fiend.